And so we are keeping a close eye on this matter. Now, the correspondence we got from the General Secretary of the party reads, I extend you warm greetings from the National Secretariat of the MPP by order of the National Chairman, Mr. Stephen Ayensu. You are hereby notified that there will be an emergency National Executive Committee, NEC, and a National Council meeting on Thursday, July 4, 2024 at different times. The National Executive Committee meeting scheduled to follow Thursday, July 4, 2 p.m. And of course, the National Council will follow at 3 p.m. at the Alisa Hotel. So that's what we have now. Now let's head to Parliament, because deep cracks are emerging among members of a special committee put together by Parliament or by the Speaker to investigate the content of a leaked audio tape on which some senior police officers are heard allegedly plotting with the former MPP regional chairman to remove IGP George Akufu-Dampare from office. These cracks followed the presentation of the report of a special committee to Parliament without the signature of the chairman of the committee, Samuel Atachia. We'll get into the content of the report put before the House shortly. But first, Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kwaku Asante joins me with details of what we know. So, Kwaku, the question is, who laid this report on the floor of Parliament?
Well, I'll say it was on Tuesday, June 18, that the indication was given that this report is said to be laid in the House. In fact, on Tuesday, 18 June, at the time, that was at the tail end of the business of the day, the chairman of the committee, Samuel Atachia himself, was not on the floor. But as has become the practice in Parliament, and I'll say you know very much, when a chairman is not there, someone else can lay that report on their behalf. Indeed, the majority chief whip, Frank Anodompre, who was then leading the majority front benches, did indicate to the second deputy speaker, Andrew Amakwesiama, who was presiding, that it will be Kennedy Japan, chairman of the Defense and Interior Committee, who will lay this report on behalf of the committee.
And why was it
the
so?
Speaker
Because
the speaker did ask, where is the chairman? And the majority chief whip responded that the chairman was not around at the moment. He asked again whether he had sought his consent to lay that report, because in parliamentary parlance, the chairman is, as the head of the committee, is the head of the administration and everything of the sort. He has to decide all those details, and in particular, laying of that report. So again, the second deputy speaker sought to find out from him whether or not he had sought the permission of the chairman to lay that report. Frank Anodompre did answer in the affirmative. As we have come to know now, he did not have the consent of the chairman, but he did still go ahead to lay the report. So, yes, this report was laid by Kennedy Japan, Ascent Central MP, chairman of the Defense and Interior Committee, purportedly on behalf of Samuel Atachia. Joy News can confirm today that Samuel Atachia had not given permission for that report to be laid. In fact, he did not know about this.
So meaning he was not even in Parliament at the time this discussion was ongoing.
Exactly, he was not aware of the report, in particular having been written. Of course, some discussion had been had, and there had been significant disagreements between him as chairman and the other members of the committee. So if you look at the face of that committee report, all the other members have signed, but Samuel Atachia, as chairman of the committee, has not signed it. So you see that James Agaga has signed, Peter Lencheni Tobu has signed. The other members on the majority side, the Minister for Environment, Sanitation and Sanitation has also signed. NDC member Eric Opoku has signed, and then Patrick Boama has signed. But the chairman of the committee has not signed. And ordinarily, if it was an ordinary committee, it was actually just going to be the committee chairman's signature in that of the clerk. So these persons had signed, but the chairman had not signed.
So is it your understanding that this report, which has generated this controversy, this is the outcome of the work of the committee, agreed by all the members?
The chairman of the committee is the person the Speaker of Parliament entrusted the committee to. So Samuel Atachia is responsible to ensuring that the committee deliver on its mandate. As per what we are learning now, he does not believe that the committee's report that has been purportedly laid on behalf of the committee is a true reflection of the work they did or the work they should have done.
Meaning what? Meaning there are certain things that should have been part of
the
this report that
have not been captured. There are certain things that he wanted the committee to put further that has all not been done. But some persons within the committee obviously have put out this report, signed it, and then got it on the floor to be laid through the majority chief whip who got this report to be laid. Some of the things we are getting to learn now is that Samuel Atachia wanted some more probe into two key things.
Right.
First, allegations of extrajudicial killings that have been made against IGP Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare. It must be put on record that the IGP has denied that he has supervised any extrajudicial killings when he did appear before the committee during the public hearings that the committee did hold. But Samuel Atacha believed that despite the denial, there were persons who were willing to come before the committee
provide information to
provide certain more evidence.
And this allegation of extrajudicial killings, this was in the open, or
Yes.
this was an in-camera hearing?
This was mainly in the open because there was a letter that was written by a certain senior police officer to the committee, and it was tendered through the lawyers of Superintendent Asare that they were willing to come forward and provide certain evidence of so-called alleged extrajudicial killings that the IGP may have supervised. The IGP denied this. It must be put on record again. And so that letter, in fact, had been made public in the public domain, and the committee wanted to evaluate it. And so when it came to evaluation of that document, they did that evaluation in camera, that is behind the full glare of the public. The public were not allowed access into what exactly the committee did.
Right.
But the information we are getting is that the chairman wanted the committee to hear from all these witnesses. Other members of the committee, particularly on the minority side, sought to suggest that this was just hearsay and it was not admissible evidence. The chairman pressed forward and they did not give him that opportunity. Again, there was also an allegation. In fact, when the IGP did appear before the committee, he was asked specifically when was the last time he had spoken to Bugri Nabu. He did indicate that at the time he had not spoken to Bugri Nabu about 8 months ago. The claims that had been made again was that it became apparent per certain phone records that the committee had obtained and certain evidence that certain people were willing to offer that the IGP actually had spoken to Bugri Nabu quite recently from the 8th month that he had told. Those were the allegations that were made. And so, again, Atacha sought to say that the committee should again go into that, and again, other members of the committee, particularly on the minority side, did not agree to that. So these were key outstanding matters for which reason Samuel Atacha believed that the committee could not have delivered on the terms of reference that the Speaker of Parliament gave them.
Right.
Because it was a fact-finding mission. So you find all the facts
before you present,
and you make your conclusion before you present your report. And so there are certain viewpoints, especially from the chairman, that because we have not been able to cover all these bases, we will not have found all the facts, and then our recommendations cannot be total. So because of all these challenges, the committee report was written on its blind side, signed by other members, and presented again on the floor on its blind side.
So now, officially in Parliament, this report was laid and accepted by the House. We understand that copies were distributed, and tomorrow, hopefully, if the report is moved, they will debate the report and then pass the resolution that may come with it. Is it your understanding that Mr. Atacha, who has issues with the way and manner this report was put together and laid on the floor, is he going to file a motion for rescission or what?
What we understand now is that the chairman is going to take a different path for now. When it comes to rescission, he will be considering this option. But first, what he's going to do is, as chairman of the committee, he's going to put together his own report. And then come to the floor and tell the speaker that you formed a 6-member committee, 3 members from each side, and an independent person joining. You tasked me to be the chairperson of the committee. This is the committee's report as chairman of the committee.
Right.
So we understand he is in the process of writing his own report. As soon as tomorrow or by the end of this week, he expects to conclude that report and lay it on the floor as chairman of the committee. And ordinarily, he will be allowed to do so because
he's the
chairman of the committee, he is the one, especially if he is to come to the floor and say that the report that has been laid was done without my blessing. Of course, if it comes down to a vote, he is in the minority on the committee. He may lose, but he still wants to make the point that that report that was laid was without my consent. As chairman of the committee, in parliamentary parlance, chairmen are really the head of these committees in terms of...
The only interesting thing is that this will be the first time a chairman of a committee will be presenting a minority
report. The last time it happened, it was the other way around. So, Samuel Atacha, we understand, is going to present his report, which will obviously be a minority report. And then we will see what the decision of the speaker will be, whether to accept the chairman's report as the true version of the committee's report, or accept the report earlier laid, or probably ask that it be merged or whatever the case.
And debate it.
And then debate it and a vote taken.
But let's stay with this report. That is that is official before Parliament and the recommendations that they come to?
Well, so the committee then goes on to do its work and then make some findings. Let me quote some of the findings he made. For instance, the terms of reference, the first terms of reference had to do with to ascertain the veracity or otherwise of the leak tape. The committee says, based on all the work they've done and speaking to all persons, they can indeed confirm that the tape was authentic and that the tape has not been doctored. In fact, part of the case that the former police officer, COP George Alex Mensah, made was that the tape may have been doctored, certain parts taken out, certain parts joined. But this majority version of the report that has been signed by James Ankaga and others, without a chairman, goes on to the record to say that that leak tape was proper. And the second one was to investigate the conspiracy to remove the current IGP, Dr. George Akuffo-Dampare. Again, they find that it was indeed a conspiracy by the officers who were implicated on the tape, COP George Alex Mensah and the others, to remove IGP Dr. George Akuffo-Dampare. The committee then goes on to make findings. And some of the findings are that, the key finding, the major finding in this report is that COP George Alex Mensah, Superintendent Asare and Superintendent Jebi have misconducted themselves and they've gone against the rules of conduct that are allowed for.
I realize they use the word appear
Yes.
to have misconducted themselves, meaning it's inconclusive.
It's inconclusive and other persons may hold a different view. But for the view they hold now is that the conduct appear to breach those regulations that are enforced to regulate the way police officers work. So that is the key finding they make. And now the recommendation is that should Parliament adopt this report, they should convey same to the President, and the police, being an organ of the executive arm of government, the President should then crack the whip on these 3 police officers who have allegedly misconducted themselves. So that is the key finding. That is also the recommendation that they've made. If it is adopted by the House, the President will probably have to act based on all these things that have come. But from all the indication we've gotten, this is not ended yet.
Of course.
There is still a lot of key issues that are really going to come up on the floor, particularly regarding the chairman and his own version of this.
All right, thank you very much, Kwaku. And of course, tomorrow Tuesday, Parliament will sit, and this will be one of the issues that they will get themselves busy with. And we'll be following to establish it. Already, lawyers for the IGP, they've spoken. They are raising issues of bias against Samuel Atacha, who chaired that committee. Lawyers for the police officers implicated in this report, they've also spoken. They say that the outcome of the committee was per this report doesn't represent the entire fact. But the issue about chairperson of the committee now sitting on the fence, watching some members of the committee put together a report that represents the work that they did, and he has issues with it. Let's engage an expert view on the matter, and joining us via Zoom is Dr. Rashid Rahman. He is Executive Director of the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs. Dr. Rahman, always a pleasure to have you on the pause. Good afternoon. Right, so we'll bring in Dr. Rashid Rahman shortly to help us understand how Parliament will be able to move beyond this obstacle that they find themselves in. Some members on a committee, an ad hoc committee, that was put together by the Speaker of Parliament to investigate this leak tape. Some members, they put together a report with their signatures. Missing, a signature that is missing is, of course, the chairman of the committee, Samuel Atachiam. And Samuel Atachiam, from what we've been told, has a different version of how the committee did it work, and is putting together his own report to present on the floor of Parliament, hopefully tomorrow or any day that the Speaker will allow him the opportunity to do so. Let me see if Dr. Rashid Rahman can hear me now. Dr. Rahman, good afternoon.
Yes, hello.
Yes, yes, Doctor, I can hear you loud and clear.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing good, and always a pleasure to have you here. But so this
Yes,
matter,
I can hear you. What was your question?
so I mean, for me as a former parliamentary correspondent, this will be the first time a report is on the floor that is without the signature of the chairperson of the committee, and now the chairperson is planning to put together his own report. Is it surprising, or, you know, I mean, this is something that we may have to start working with? Well, we are finding it difficult to establish connection with Dr. Rashid Rahman. So, yes, and then as soon as we're able to stabilize the connection, we'll have that conversation as you try to help us understand the way forward regarding this matter. So, Doctor, I was asking about, this matter, some members of the committee, they've signed on to a report. The report has been laid on the floor. The chairman is saying that he was unaware that a report was going to be laid on the floor and is planning to put together his own report and then, put it on the floor as well. How do you think this will be resolved?
Well, Elton, first of all, I think from what I heard from your correspondent and all the happenings around this report, I think it is clear that, there is a vote of no confidence on the chairperson by, first of all, the committee, and then by the majority caucus in particular. Because if you have the majority whip on the back, on the presenting this report, maybe to another person in the chairperson, and then the chairperson coming out to deny that. I think that second is if you have all the minority members signing on to this report and the chairperson not signing on to the report, it speaks volumes in terms of the leadership of the chairperson of that committee. And for me, this raises a fundamental issue about some of the reforms that we form within our parliament and other parliaments, how committees are formed and how committees are led. Most parliaments have moved away from the practice where committee leadership and chairpersons are most parliaments now that are effective democratize the process of electing people who lead committees for reasons like this.
Right. So what we'll do is that connection is not stable. We'll try and rather raise him on a telephone line so that we can have a seamless conversation with Dr. Rashid Rahman, who is a parliamentary watcher. Now, tomorrow is Tuesday. The House will reconvene. And
all right.
Yes, Doctor. So I think your line is stable now.
Are we doing phone or we are doing this?
I guess I'll let my producers handle that. I think it is better now. So, Doctor, we can go ahead and do this.
Okay, all right. So, Elton, let me just repeat what I was saying so that in case I wasn't heard.
Right.
I said that, what is happening from the report that we got from your parliamentary correspondent seems to indicate there is a vote of no confidence in the chairperson. First of all, by the committee itself, and secondly, by Parliament, or maybe if we want to reduce it, by the majority caucus. Because if you get Honorable Anodom Pre getting somebody else to present this report and saying, as your correspondent indicated, that the chairperson is aware, then the chairperson now comes out to say, I wasn't aware, it was done on my blind side. I think there are very serious issues there. Then the second is if you have all the members of the committee, both from majority and minorities, appending their signatures on this report, and the chairman is the only one who has a signature absent on the report, it speaks volumes, Elton, because, in my lifetime, following different parliaments, I have seen minority reports, but those will be reports that will come from a few people who disagree with the entire committee and the chair as one block. This is the first time I'm hearing the chairman of a committee saying he's going to present a minority report. And I was saying earlier that for me, that takes me to a much bigger issue about how democratic the processes of selecting leadership of parliamentary committees is. In parliaments that work, I think, parliamentary committees will be formed, and then the leadership is decided democratically by members of the committee.
Right.
Because of situations like this, because you want somebody who leads the committee who has the confidence of the entire membership of the committee, because the chairperson of a committee makes or breaks a parliamentary committee.
Right.
And so I think what this is telling us is that our parliament, as well as many other parliaments that are still stuck with this old undemocratic practice, should begin to think about how you can get people who lead committees who are who have the full confidence of the people that they are leading. Because in this instance, I think that is what we are seeing play out. Then the second issue, Elton, is I think maybe the chairperson or some members of the committee have tried to go out of the mandate of the committee.
Right.
Because I hear the correspondent saying, the chairperson says it's a fact-finding mission, but they have terms of reference. And you want to make sure that you stick with the terms of reference that have been given to you. You go on a wild goose chase. I mean, where are you going to stop? Are you going to investigate all matters within the police service under the leadership of the IGP? I mean, that seems to be trying to smuggle in some elements that were not part of the original terms of reference that were given to the committee, even if it was a fact-finding kind of mission.
So Doctor, what do you suggest must be done now? I mean, there are options available to Honorable Atachia. One is to, read his own report if the opportunity is given for the House to debate the report put together by the majority on this committee, or file a motion for rescission to recall what was laid on the floor that he is now claiming that he was unaware that was going to be done.
Well, I mean, given what we are hearing, I mean, if his own caucus, I mean, is doing this behind him, and then you have members of the NDC caucus who are part of the committee have signed on to this, I don't know whether if he files any motion, he's going to get the full support of the House. So I think if I were the chairperson, I would think carefully about this. He could prepare his own report. I think it is right. I mean, because if you disagree, and on this occasion we are seeing a chairman disagree with his own committee,
yes,
he can prepare his own report. And then I think the leadership of Parliament would have to try and see. Already they have the practice of win-win when it comes to lawmaking. Maybe they can find some eminent MPs to sit down and look at these two reports and make sense out of it. Because this is a very important matter, Elton. It borders on the security of our nation.
Right.
You can't have one of the topmost security person in our country, with his life hanging in the balance because our parliamentarians don't seem to agree because of all kinds of reasons that some of us are not aware of. We are getting to an election. And already there are rumors the IGP is fired, he's not fired,
absolutely,
and all those things. I think we don't need that at this point in our history. Already the political temperature is quite high. They should spare us, this unnecessary kind of raising of the political temperature by letting cool heads prevail and by making sure that the right things are done. I mean, let them go back to the terms of reference. Let them make sure that people's personal interests and whatever is informing their positions, does not derail this. Already the report is much, much long overdue.
Right.
Much, much long overdue.
Absolutely, you're right on that.
And the more they drag this, the more the public is not going to have any confidence in any parliamentary committee that is set up to investigate anything in this country.
But
they should spare us this drama.
But in the interest of parliamentary democracy, should this be encouraged, where you have, members from both sides of the political divide come to a decision to accept something, and then the chairman take a different posture and say, I'm going to scatter everything on the floor. Should this be encouraged in the interest of parliamentary democracy? Or we should...
No, certainly. I think, it should be encouraged because minority reports are always very good, because you don't want everybody sitting on the committee saying yes, yes, yes. You should have dissenting views. But I think that it has to be done in a way that is decorous, in a way, because right now, for me, my worry is the fact that even the majority caucus in Parliament seems to be doing something behind the back of the chairperson.
Yes.
And that is very worrying. If it was only the committee alone, then we could say, yes, I think this is normal practice. But now we are hearing from your correspondent, Honorable Kennedy Ajapon presented this report and said they have the go-ahead from the chairperson. The chairperson says they don't have my go-ahead. What is going on? And I think that that is what we should be very worried about. But as for the minority report from the chairperson, this is a novelty, and I think we should encourage it. At least it means that there was some failure in leadership in terms of bringing the committee together.
All right, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Dr. Rashid Draman is a parliamentary watcher. And of course, tomorrow is Tuesday. You have to stay tuned in to join us because tomorrow is the day that the report will be moved. What happened last week was a lay-in. Tomorrow is the day that the report will move. Who is going to move this report? In parliamentary practice, usually the report is moved by the chairman of the committee. The chairman says he was unaware that the report was going to be laid, and he has some reservations. He's putting together his own report. So which report is going to move? Who is going to move that report? Who is going to second it? These are matters that must be dealt with before formal debates can ensue on this report. This is the policy on Joy News. We'll take a short break. When we'll come back, we'll have more stories for you this afternoon.